children the kind of delight that keep you going and give you that sort of so it's great to hear. I was just thinking you've always got to be looking at your brand and what it means and who you are and how it reflects who you are and what you're trying to serve and whom you're trying to serve and how you do it. And a big part of that is that, and it's always such a nightmare to rebrand, isn't it, guys? You know, how do you sort of get that message right? How do you make sure it's simple enough to reflect who you are and what you're representing? And of course, in this day and age, we're trying to keep it you know, a lot more simple and try and keep it sort of not as sort of a cleaner brand and that sort of thing is the way that it sort of goes forward. So I think you kind of nailed it really, and nailed it for a whole lot of us that sort of struggle with remembering everyone's names and everything else. Now, as the Minister of Youth Affairs, you know that I am down with technology, completely down with what, you know, how this stuff all goes. Which means that I'm not at all, and as soon as I say I'm down with something, the young people will groan and roll their eyes at me and just go, you know, you're not cool in the slightest way. But Facebook always gets me, and Facebook does get me. So Facebook has over 500 million users. Yeah, so think about that kind of connection that you're getting there. And they say that if it was a country, it would be the third largest country in the world, which is just quite phenomenal when you think about that sort of level of connection. And so clicking onto Facebook, clicking onto Twitter, using those kind of social networking mechanisms is just so absolutely important and critical, I think. I am constantly astounded, pretty much on a daily basis, as to the personal messages I get, predominantly from women, but from men as well, that come to me via Facebook. Yeah? So incredibly personal journeys of child, youth and family, of issues that they've got, of family stuff that's going on, or whatever that is, and they generally private message me. You'll be pleased to know, because I am, because it is a very personal story, but it is their way of reaching out, and it's something that they feel is accessible and that they can actually connect with me at a personal level. So I try and treat that with the respect it is. Sometimes it's actually, I think, my goodness, why haven't we run the police? You know, so sometimes it is breath-stopping, this needs immediate action, and other times, of course, it's just looking for longer term. So being connected in that way, I think, is a vital avenue for some people feeling like they can ask for help and actually share a message that I don't think I would hear from some of these people in any other forum. Yeah, sitting down and putting pen to paper is not gone by the way, because they still do that. But and even an email is more thought and that sort of thing. Whereas when you're on Facebook, you can actually connect quite quickly and quite easily. So I think that it is just such an important sort of step forward. Can I just add as well is that a young woman I met quite recently, and that you've probably all seen, is Cherie. Kurangi Sweeney, and she is the young woman from Ngārawahia who has stood up against the death of the little girl that was next door to her and got called a narc and everything else like that. So she set up her website, and I bet some of her Facebook, and I bet some of you have actually befriended her on that. Where she's actually called it narc, which I thought was fantastic actually, which is really standing up against sort of child abuse and saying that it's part of her thing. But in her little community, so her Facebook community now is bigger than the town of Ngārawahia. Yeah? So she has over 8,000 people that are connected to her via Facebook. And what gets really interesting, what her and I have been talking about a bit, is now what does she do with that? Yeah? So you've raised an interest. You've obviously got people engaged. At the moment, she's using it for information sharing, so getting people to understand more and know more, and actually giving them the facts of how many and where and how. And you know, she's about to launch this fantastic initiative where you almost buy a coroner's report that gets put on there about the death of a child, which is absolutely devastating and awful, but is actually opening it up to transparency, and so that people are reading some of the real stuff that's going on. And then you get that, how do you formulate that into action, which we haven't quite mastered. Yeah? That's that next sort of step of how you use that social networking to actually then formulate into something which is action-orientated, results-orientated, and actually sees something that is tangible happening for, in this case, families in our communities that need it most. So that's kind of the challenge of that. You will be getting, as I'm sure you do now, but just such a raft of information that comes to you. We deal with this on a day-to-day basis on my office, yeah? So people that I can't be as accessible as I would like to be, purely because of time, as you can appreciate. So how do you then actually make sure that someone else is getting back to people that when it is an emergency we are responding accordingly? Because people's expectations are very, very different when it comes to that kind of social networking and what they expect from you. So as an organisation, I'm sure you've already thought through those kind of challenges, but it's one that and it moves faster than you can, the sort of dynamics of it all really change and move faster than you can sometimes keep up with, so it's kind of moving along in that way. So so I just wanted to say congratulations, and it is a delight to be here and just get a few minutes to sort of speak to you about where we sort of see it going and how you can sort of use that social networking for something that really can be quite a tide of change on other issues. I can't think of anywhere else where we could get more than 8,000 ordinary New Zealanders stepping up and saying they want to be part of change when it comes to the protection of our children. And so, as I say, the challenges then come as to what we're doing. So congratulations to Women's Refuge, for your new website, for as you go forward. You know that you have the respect certainly of government and certainly of me for the work that you do, and I wish you all the well for the future and under this new banner. Thank you.
Minister, this is a new job for you, being see, I've got all these notes, do this, let's do this, let's do this next. And often when you follow something like this, it actually ends up being very cumbersome. Take on board what we're saying about the community of Women's Refuge is going to go larger, and the landscape's going to be very different from what we just came from. And it's a challenge we're wanting to engage in. And it's a challenge that we believe that we're prepared for. But you can never be prepared for everything, so we're going to be learning. But we hope it's about sharing the information that we have that can get out there quicker and faster. And we especially want to engage with our youth, and we're very proud of our youth who drove this, who drove our youth page. And it's about trusting the youth to come up with decisions for us. These adults don't always have the answers. And even when we look at our tamariki today when they're singing, when they're singing, they hope that we will leave some of the questions for them, because it's not always our job to answer everything. I'd just like to welcome now Heather Henare, our Chief Executive of Women's Refuge, who's going to be talking to you about our exciting future.
Welcome. I just want to say a few special welcomes to the Minister. Thank you, Paula, for being here today. It's really important to us. To you, Judge Bosha, Paul, to the staff from the Ministry of Social Development. Thank you for being here. To all the other special guests that are here, the group from the Youth Advisory Group, and all the refugees that are present, and all the staff, and to Sue's mum, thank you for being here, our queer for the day. Apologies from our Auntie Kiwa. She didn't quite make it today, and so she would have liked to be here too. Thank you, Esther, for speaking up for us. We're honoured to have you with us today to celebrate the launch of our revised website, to launch our 2011 annual appeal, and to celebrate our new look. First, let me start with our new look. Last year, Saatchi and Saatchi did some social marketing